Hey everybody, Harry stopped by today. His viewers had a question about using post oak and cooking Texas style in WSM. So Harry gave us a call, asked if we had post oak, which we do. Comes all the way from Texas, and he wanted us to cut it in half though so that it will fit in the WSM. So that is no problem at all. Haas is going to take care of that. He's going to make Harry's bag, and if you ever need anything, we can get whatever you need. So Haas will show you how it's done. So our phone number here is 714-771-2626 if you're out of state and ordering online. It's sharpegourmetcookingwood.com or sharpegourmet.com, and if you just give us a call, if you can't find us on the website or you want something more specific, just give us a call. We're here to help, and we want to make sure you get the absolute best for all your cooking needs.
Hi, my name is Jacinto Torres, and I'm gonna cut some wood for a customer today. This is gonna be post oak from Oklahoma.
And the bark is on, right? We're gonna leave the bark on, just like you cook in an offset smoker. Right? We're not gonna, and then you can take the bark off also, right?
Yes, we can do that.
If they want it that way, right? Yeah. But we're gonna do it the old school style.
They want, like no bark or cutting half or chunks, whatever.
Excellent, man. Great job. I'm back at the house and ready to begin cooking using the wood that Patty provided, which Haas custom cut for me. As you can see, it comes in a big bag like so. And a Sharpe gourmet cooking wood from Orange County, California. And this is post oak from Texas. You can see that it's a pretty big log, and they kind of cut it in half for me because it won't fit in the WSM. She sells it in basically this size, and you can buy the whole log if you're running an offset. Or if you're running like me, you're on a WSM. I wanted it to fit, so they cut it in half for me. So I have my WSM here, ready to go, 22 this time. And I'm gonna start it up and light up the fire and get it to be a nice 275 degrees. Before we prep the brisket, we want the fire to stabilize. I'm gonna use my grill gun from grillgun.com here and start up the wood. You can use a fire starter, or you can use a wheat burner, but this does the job really nicely. Let's prepare our brisket now. I'm going to keep it really simple with a simple trim and some basic ingredients. This one is a Angus brisket, choice grade. Get out the packaging here. And you want to make sure that you get rid of the purge. This is a lot of pathogens here. Never wash your brisket. And there's a link in my video description as to why you don't want to do that. I recommend you towel it dry. Okay, let's trim some of the excess silver skin and fat off here, so that our rub will actually touch the meat instead of touching the silver skin, the fat here. Always trim with your fingers and your side. So for example, I'm noticing here there is a little ligament here, tendon, so right here. So this is not good eating, so you want to try to trim this little part off here. You want this part here. Put your hand underneath and bow it a little bit. Get some of the fat off, the fascia or silver skin. You can. If you don't sweat it. Not that big. Not life and death. Okay, that's good enough. Bag looks good. Go ahead and make a simple rub here. I'm going to use a combination of my regular Texas salt and pepper and a little bit of my moolah rub. Put it in here. 1 part pepper, 1 part salt, and 1 part of my rub. You can use just 1 rub, but I just thought I'd kind of vary things around and kind of get a little bit of my rub in there too. A nice color. Stir it up and add a little bit of celery seed for flavor. It's a touch here, maybe about 2 tablespoons. And we got a fantastic rub right here. A little bit of a smear to it. You can use a beef paste or mustard, Worcestershire, anything you like. It all works. Let's get a little bit of allow it to stick here since I'm cooking it really dry. It's up to you whether you want to season the fat cat. And I don't think it makes much of a difference, but today I'm gonna do both sides. Good old Texas style rub, spiked with a little bit of Slap Your Daddy. First place Mula beef rub. Alright, we used about maybe about 2/3 to 3/4 of a cup of rub to cover one. This is a 13-pound brisket. All set. Put a couple of chunks of wood up there. Place your brisket on top so that it has a nice dome shape. So. And it's all ready to go. I have all 3 vents open, but my post oak is not heating the pit as hot as I want it to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys a little trick here. What we want to do is just prop the WSM open and use a chunk of wood kind of to prop it, give it a little bit more airflow like so. And that will allow you to kind of ramp up the temperature and get the wood to burn a little hotter. And I want to get it up to be about 275, 300 degrees to start off my pit and get my brisket Texas style to be crusted nicely before we wrap in butcher paper. My Weber Smokey Mountain has finally settled into a groove and the temperature is about 275. The pit is burning really nicely. What I found out is that in order to cook using post oak in a half log style, what works best is you just kind of jimmy the little lid a little bit open, maybe about kind of 3/4 inch, ½ inch, for a little wedge of wood. That keeps the temperature perfect, and the fire is burning really well. See here, right? The logs are there, burning, creating charcoal from the earlier burn log. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna put a log kind of essentially on the side like that, and then while the log warms up, you can push it in the middle. So this one has been warming up. So I'm going to add another log just to show you guys how it's done. So you stand by a log on the side like so, kind of warm up the log so that once the log gets warm, it's going to go toss right in the middle like so. And that's how you do fire management, cooking with post oak on a Weber Smokey Mountain. So you want to keep it closed, 275 degrees, and then refuel the door obviously. If you're wondering what kind of door this is, it's a Cajun bandit door. I change all the doors from my Weber Smokey Mountain because the flimsy stock door is not usable. So the brisket is coming on nicely. Having a nice color now. Get some water on it. Spray water. There we go. It's taken about 7 hours to get a beautiful crust on the brisket. We're ready to wrap it now. I'm not going to use any liquid since we're going to be doing Texas style. Here's my butcher paper. So the butcher paper is going to be cut about 3 times the length of the brisket. So if I back up here, you can see how long the paper is. So 3:1 ratio, 3 times the length for the length of the brisket. Show you guys how we wrap. There's many ways to wrap a brisket, obviously. This is just one way, the way I use. I kind of put it kind of where half the length is. So I'm gonna measure the length about halfway, like so. Get the brisket. Alright, first one is, it goes over like so. About half the length here. I'm gonna hold it over. So. And we'll put it into the oven because it's a lot easier to try to run the pit. Save time because once you wrap it, it's gonna get any more smoke. Alright, we're on 275 for a little while longer. It's been about 2.5 hours, well maybe 2.5, maybe 3 hours, and the brisket is nice and tender. We're gonna take it out of the oven, let it cool down a little bit, and begin the tasting process. So drum roll please as we kind of work our way through the brisket and see how it will actually taste. To aid in comparison, I have my conventional brisket here. We're gonna do a A/B test and compare the two and see which one reigns supreme. Okay, let's cut the brisket here. Very nice. Got one from each end, one from the back, so we get a piece of the fatty and the lean. Compare the two. Let's take a slice on the back. Absolutely gorgeous, beautiful smoke ring. Same here. Absolutely beautiful. Here's the fatty or the point where the burn end comes from. Here's the flat or the lean, and you can see the beautiful kind of the post oak style crust. Super dark, and then you can see beautiful bark. That's the characteristics of kind of a Texas style post oak. Here's the one that I made for my conventional recipe. Also pretty good. And let's do a taste comparison of the two and see which one reigns supreme. All right, let's do the pull test here. Pretty tender. Same here. Accordion shape like that. Do a pull test. Perfectly tender. Do a taste. The fat is delicious. Smoky, tender, salty. All the characteristics of a Texas brisket. Let's go give the fatty a chance here. So, beautiful bark. Wow, the burn ends are really good. So the fatty, really tasty, nice bark, nice smoke ring. So that's the impression from the Texas style brisket cooked on post oak. The flavor of the post oak is definitely there. You can tell that it's cooked with a kind of a mild wood for many hours. So let's compare it against my standard here, which is the one I usually cook on a Weber Smokey Mountain with the hickory and apple combination. Sometimes I use pecan, depending on my mood. This one's also pretty good. Let me save a little bit of the fatty here. The piece of the flat from the conventional brisket. Let's try a bit of the point now, the burn ends from the my conventional Weber Smokey Mountain one with a Jealous Devil charcoal and chunks of wood. Also very good. So I'm gonna go and have another round just to confirm my impression before I give you the conclusions. Let me eat my way to the second set. I've gone through 2 rounds of tasting. I'm ready to share my overall conclusion with you. The flavor is, both are very good, but they are slightly different. Obviously the post oak has a different flavor than the wood that I typically use when I cook on the WSM with charcoal and chunks of hickory and apple. And depending on my mood, sometimes it's chunks of pecan. The overall flavor is the post oak has a certain amount of like unique smokiness. It's mild, it's fragrant, not too strong. It definitely has a hint of smoke after smoking for about 8 hours, and the crust is absolutely gorgeous, right? So that's kind of how the look and the flavor of a Texas style brisket cooked on post oak looks like versus the conventional one cooked on the WSM. You know, my overall impression is both are very good. It's just that the flavors are different primarily because of the wood. The cooking process is the same, The grade and the cut of the brisket was about the same. Tenderness is about the same. You can see the color is pretty good. I mean, compare side by side. It's a comparable. This one is reheated, so it's not so fresh, but the fresh one you can see the beautiful smoke ring. So appearance wise, a Thai, tenderness a Thai. So it all comes down to taste, and I would summarize it this way. The taste is basically your preference. Both versions of brisket are very good. The post oak definitely has a Texas type of flavor and Texas type of fragrance to the meat. And whether you like it or not is really kind of subjective. You know, a lot of folks who come from Texas, this is the flavor that they like. It's kind of like this one has maybe a sweeter smoke. This one has more of a kind of like a smoky kind of wood flavor, and both are very, very enjoyable. But honestly, at the end of the day, on any given day, I may wake up one day and I like this one. On another day, I may like this one. So I would say that the flavor is a Thai. So, which is a surprise to me because I know I've eaten a lot of post oak brisket in Texas. That seems to be the wood they like to use. Sometimes they throw a piece of mesquite to kind of, kind of spice things up a little bit. But I think overall, they're both comparable. So my conclusion overall is that whatever flavor you like, both woods do work. And if you like that post oak flavor, that's the way to go. So the summary that I want to get to is the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video was to do a test cook to see if it's possible to cook like an offset smoker style brisket on a WSM using wood only, no charcoal. The answer is yes, it is possible to cook successfully on a Weber Smokey Mountain using post oak. So that's a pass. The way I had to end up doing that is that the WSM is designed to burn charcoal or briquettes. So there really wasn't enough draft or the suction happening in the pit to draw the air in. The way I modified that, if you saw the video earlier, for those of you who did not fast forward to the end, is that I used a hack to put a piece of wood to kind of prop the lid open. And that allows sufficient exhaust air to come out, the hot air to exhaust, creating a vacuum in the pit to draw more air in to kind of artificially generate the kind of a draft or the convection flow that is common in an offset pit. If you look at an offset pit, typically from the torpedo shaped chamber to the smokestack, you'll notice there's a 3:1 ratio because that's the perfect kind of aerodynamic where the 8-inch draw from the chimney will draw the air through the pit, creating that beautiful airflow. So if you want to cook using post oak Texas style, salt and pepper brisket on your WSM, you can do that using the hack I showed you. Leave all 3 vents at the bottom open, leave the top vent completely open, and then adjust the draft accordingly by putting a piece of wood to prop the lid open to keep kind of your 275, 250 degrees to ensure that the actual wood is burning and you have some clean smoke going and flowing over your meat. You're gonna get the crust that looks like that. It looks like it's burned, but it's absolutely delicious and nice and soft after you go through the butcher paper phase. As I told you guys before, once you hit the butcher paper or the foil phase, BTU is BTU is BTU. So you can put that back in your pit, run more fuel and use more, spend more money on fuel, or you can throw it in the oven like I do, and it also works. But the key is to get it to the probe tenderness, because when it's super duper tender, it's going to actually, eat a lot better, like this one here. So you can do that, and then flavor-wise, I have to say it's a draw. I like both flavors. They are, meant for different kind of audiences. Flavors a draw, but being able to cook like a offset smoker on the WSM really is a boon. A lot of us don't have the investment to put in maybe $3,000 for a decent 1/4-inch steel offset smoker, but most of us can afford a $399 Weber Smokey Mountain. And if you want to experiment using the wood, this process does work. Now the key is finding the post oak and have it cut to you in that half size, because the full log is gonna have a hard time fitting into your Weber Smokey Mountain charcoal grate. I suppose you can remove the fire ring and then you can get a bigger log in, but I have friends like Patty. Patty was able to have Haas cut the whole size log into half. I probably used about maybe 10 to 11 logs for a cook. each log would last me about 50 minutes to about 60 minutes. So it was a kind of a long cook. I started off with more wood up front to get the fuel burning. I found the key to running the post oak properly in the WSM is that to make sure that the initial batch of wood was enough to create enough what I call the coals, and the coals would essentially set the next log on fire. And you saw what I did in the video. I had my hot coals, burning coals, and I put a piece of unlit log beside it. Then as this one kind of burned down, this one would burn up. I would take this one and toss it on top, and then put another piece on it. Exactly the same way that you would set up your fire management and control if you were running an offset pit. Okay, so that's essentially my conclusion. You can use the WSM to cook post oak Texas style briskets at home. So so much for me talking. Now the most important part is to let the Mr. Brisket dog taste it to see which one he likes and he prefers better. All right, let's pick a piece for Mr. Brisket dog here. We'll get a piece from my conventional one here and get a piece from the Texas style. Let's see which one you prefer, okay? We need to make sure that you know which is which, okay? So sit. Okay, so I'm gonna put one here and one here and have a sniff, Beans, and see which one you like better. Okay, go. Oh. Mr. Beans has voted and he went for the one on my left, and that was the post oak one cooked in the Weber Smokey Mountain. So Beans, looks like Mr. Beans has ruled. I drew a draw, but Mr. Beans ruled that the Texas post oak one tasted better because he went for that first. Highly unscientific and very anecdotal. Only one data point, but hopefully you found this video helpful. And will I do this again? That's the $50 question. The answer is definitely yes, because I'm always trying to push the envelope, and you know what I say to you, I fail so you don't have to. In this case, I think it's a pass. Definitely you can cook using post oak on a Weber Smokey Mountain to mimic the flavor profile of a offset smoker if you don't have a few $1,000s to spend to buy one. And like me, I do not have space in my tiny little California backyard to house a 12-foot or 10-foot smoker on a trailer. So here you have it. That concludes another episode from Slap Your Daddy BBQ. So thanks for stopping by. Please like, subscribe, and share, and tell everybody about my channel. And until the next video, we will see ya.